The only thing better than a good horror movie is 25 of them, one after the other, until you can no longer remember a time when you weren't screaming and didn't have crippling jump scare anxiety. From creature features to teen screamathons and indie darlings, these movies are all available on Netflix, and all guaranteed to scare your pants off. Here are the 25 best horror movies to stream on Netflix right now. The Wailing. The atmospheric, artful thrills of K-horror meets the tried and true tale of demonic possession in 2016's The Wailing, which follows a police officer as he tries to uncover the truth about a mysterious, violent sickness sweeping through a South Korean mountain village. Although The Wailing is the slowest of slow burns, running a ridiculous 2 hours and 36 minutes, director Hong Jin-na earns every second of his movie's runtime by ramping up the tension to the perfect pitch and pacing out the scares like a pro. The Babadook. This entry from Down Under was on everyone's list of the best horror films of 2015, and it's not hard to see why. Tense, atmospheric, visually striking, and with an Oscar-worthy performance by Noah Wiseman as a creepy kid to end all creepy kids, this story of a single mother battling an evil storybook creature called the Babadook is high-quality nightmare material. As far as ceiling-crawling anti-gravity monsters go, this guy is chilling. The Unborn. 2009 was a dry period for good original horror fare, with the exception of The Unborn, which has plenty to make it worth a watch. A family-centric, fetal twist on the usual possession storyline, top quality scares and solid production values, and a surprisingly great cast. The Unborn asks all of the important questions.
You think it's possible to be haunted by someone who's never even born?
Not only does Oscar-nominated actor Gary Oldman turn up, but senior citizen scares like this one will probably keep you from visiting grandma for a long, long time. Sinister. If you've been nostalgic for Ethan Hawke since his 1990s Dreamboat days ended, you'll definitely dig him in this grown-up role as a skeptical dad who doesn't quite believe that he's discovered a haunted box of Super 8 reels. Until it's too late, of course, and the scares are coming fast and furious. Released in 2012, Sinister does a nice job of matching up the contemporary concept of found-footage horror with the feel of a classic haunting flick. And the home movies that are central to the film's plot are genuinely creepy, from the first scene on. The Host. Before he wowed the world with Snowpiercer, director Bong Joon-ho was the director of the best Korean creature feature of the early aughts. The 2006 film The Host tells the story of a hapless dad searching for his daughter, who has been kidnapped by an acrobatic, sewer-dwelling beast with murder on its mind. The movie is as much as Godzilla satire as it is a straightforward monster flick, and the director's trademark slapstick moments are great tension relievers in a very, very taut thriller. A girl walks home alone at night. As stylish as she is deadly, the veiled vampire at the center of Anna Lily Amirpour's debut feature film is the best kind of bad girl, and remarkably sympathetic for a person who feasts on the blood of the living. The pacing in this horror flick is a bit slow, but made up for by the beauty of its leading lady and its atmospheric black and white world. When blood spills in Amirpour's setting of Bad City, the splatter is downright elegant. Housebound. This Kiwi horror comedy takes a tongue-in-cheek approach to a classic trope. Instead of a movie about a haunted house, it's a movie about a haunted house arrest. Small-time criminal Kylie is sentenced to 8 months on her parents' property, which happens to have an angry ghost in residence. Kylie's ankle bracelet also serves as a clever answer to the question that plagues most haunted horror films. Unlike the dopey characters in other movies who inexplicably stick around to be terrorized, the heroine of Housebound can't leave her ghost-ridden residence.
Aren't you lucky, Kylie, having all that fancy technology on your foot?
Choosing between brutal ghost death and a prison sentence was never so difficult. Bad Milo.
What is it? You got a thing in your butt.
Thanks to the oversaturated nature of the horror genre, Bad Milo is not the only movie you can watch in which a murderous monster emerges from someone's tushy. It is, however, the best of the bunch. Sorry, Dreamcatcher. Starring longtime comedy icon and state veteran Ken Marino, Bad Milo tells the story of a man who discovers that his lifelong gastrointestinal issues are the result of a demonic polyp, which escapes from his ass to kill his enemies at will. Despite its incredible gross premise, the movie rises above basic bathroom horror to be reliably entertaining, and Milo, the butt gremlin, who kinda looks like the baby from Dinosaurs, is really pretty lovable.
I don't love you anymore.
Hush. The ordinary home invasion thriller gets kicked up a notch by the injection of a unique twist in Hush. The heroine is deaf. Low on gore and high on suspense, the 2016 film succeeds despite a limited budget and almost no dialogue, thanks to its deliberate storytelling and creative use of sound and silence to ramp up the tension. Add in a stellar performance by Kate Siegel, who also co-wrote the film, and Hush is more than worth investing the short 80 minutes it takes to watch. Dead Snow. Gory, ghastly, and campy as hell. In other words, Dead Snow fulfills all reasonable expectations for a horror film about Nazis rising from a snow-covered hillside to ruin a perfectly good ski vacation. You won't get nuanced performances or subtle Hitchcockian tension from this movie. You will, however, get all the blood-splattered action you've ever wanted. When will people realize that remote cabins are absolutely terrible vacation spots? Dead Silence. If you're creeped out by ventriloquist dummies, and seriously, who isn't? Then you'll thoroughly appreciate this movie by horror virtuoso James Wan, who delved into dummy fare in between directing his better-known projects Saw and Insidious. Starring True Blood's Ryan Kwanten, Dead Silence occasionally veers into cheesy territory, but it's hard not to when your characters are battling the ghost of an evil ventriloquist. Fortunately, its premise is unique enough, and it delivers solid scares. We are what we are. In this 2013 film, the Parkers are a close-knit and reclusive family bound by a mysterious shared religious tradition. But rather than draw out that mystery, We Are What We Are reveals it early on, and then draws its horrors from the resulting family drama. There's plenty of blood and guts here too, but the American Gothic flavor and subtle character development elevate it above the average gore fest. Cabin Fever, Patient Zero. Fans of the original Cabin Fever will like this film for the same reasons as they love the original. It's gruesomely, graphically disgusting, possibly even more than its predecessors, centering on the origin story of the series' flesh-eating virus and the worst bachelor party in history. Cabin Fever, Patient Zero reveals the shocking truth. Honeymoon. If you've been missing actress Rose Leslie since her untimely exit from Game of Thrones, this slow-burn horror flick about a honeymoon gone wrong will put her back on your TV screen. Leslie stars opposite Harry Treadaway in a story about two newlyweds whose post-nuptial bliss at a secluded cabin is rudely interrupted by something strange lurking in the woods. Without spoiling anything, let's just say the honeymoon gets real weird, real fast, before it's officially over. It follows. With every classic horror trope having been done and redone to death, it's rare to find a movie that looks and feels like something you've never seen before.
Wherever you are, it's somewhere walking straight for you. All you can do is pass it along to someone else.
But with its unique premise, slow pacing, and inventive soundtrack, it follows as one of the creepiest and most original horror releases in years. A particularly impressive feat considering its small budget and use of old-school practical effects to bring the scares. $1 million CGI monster has nothing on a half-naked, toothless intruder peeing on your kitchen floor. Take our word for it. The Awakening. For spooky atmospheric tension and a unique historic premise, look no further than The Awakening. Set in the aftermath of the First World War, this movie follows its heroine to a boarding school with a ghost problem. Or is it? With its characters as haunted by the horrors of wars as they were by any spirits on campus, The Awakening is big on suspense, and the mystery of what kind of evil they're dealing with persists almost all the way to the end. VHS. For those with short attention spans, there's nothing better than a feature-length anthology of mini-horror movies, and VHS is among the best. Using every available found-footage concept, from recorded Skype calls to vacation videos, it tells a series of scary stories that run the gamut from alien abduction to wilderness monsters, 20 minutes at a time. If you dig the VHS anthology, a pair of sequels in the same format, VHS 2 and VHS Viral, are also available to stream on Netflix. Troll Hunter. Not to be confused with the original animated Netflix series Troll Hunters, or even the amazing Troll 2. Troll Hunter is director Andre Alvadal's first horror movie, so catch it while it's still on Netflix. Set in the remote, forested northern fjords of Norway, this found-footage mockumentary follows a group of students as they try to catch an elusive species of giant troll on camera, without being eaten or trampled alive in the process. Needless to say, some of the characters are more successful in that endeavor than others. Ravenous. In this 1999 film, a group of middle 19th century military frontiersmen save the life of a stranger who stumbles into their camp, who then thanks the frontiersmen by having them all for dinner.
Man eats the flesh of another. He absorbs the other man's strength.
Cannibal hillbilly stories are a dime a dozen, but Ravenous breathes fresh life into the trope with an awesome cast, a nifty historical angle, and some unexpectedly hilarious jokes about the etiquette of eating your fellow man. Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
How's Evil walking right now, Tuck? He looks like he's gonna walk it off. He's gonna be fine.
If you're looking to scream with laughter rather than terror, it doesn't get better than this pitch-perfect send-up of the camp slasher genre. Tyler Labine and Alan Tudyk star as a pair of backward BFFs who are just trying to enjoy a relaxing vacation at their fixer-upper cabin in the mountains. But when a group of peppy, judgmental college kids set up a camp nearby, a series of absurd misunderstandings unleash an unstoppable tide of rage, violence, and accidental deaths by woodchipper. An American Werewolf in London. The best practical special effects you'll ever see in a creature feature belong to this classic werewolf movie from 1981. An American Werewolf in London is as darkly funny as it is terrifying, in a dry British sort of way, like when the mangled spirits of the various victims of David's lunar activities turn up to scold him for not only killing innocent Londoners, but by being such an unrefined bore about it.
What shall I do? Suicide.
They just don't make horror movies like this anymore. Although they tried, bless their little hearts. Don't confuse this one with the 1997 film An American Werewolf in Paris, which was a pile of hot garbage. Odd Thomas. In this film, based on a book by Dean Koontz, Anton Yelchin plays a small-town fry cook and part-time vigilante psychic who uses his gifts to hunt down killers. He runs into trouble when his town is invaded by an evil beyond anything he's seen before. As horror flicks go, Odd Thomas is more whimsical and occasionally sentimental, but Yelchin is so charming in the title role that you won't miss the jump scares a bit. Hellraiser. On its surface, Hellraiser is a cautionary tale about buying and solving puzzle boxes from sketchy Moroccan street vendors, but really, it's all about master of horror Clive Barker, and his first foray into the grotesque fantasy world that would spawn close to a dozen films. The acting won't win any awards, and the gore is over the top even for a horror film, but Hellraiser's unique combination of demonic lore and lingering cringe shots of slimy, torn-off people parts makes it a must-watch for anyone who claims to be serious about horror. The Fly. Everyone loves David Cronenberg's 1986 version of sci-fi horror story The Fly, but this version from 1958 came first. It's a classic science fiction film, with a cast that includes everybody's favorite cadaverous leading man, Vincent Price. As far as the plotline, you know the drill. Mad scientist gets overambitious, has careless lab accident, transfigures self into gruesome half-human, half-fly monstrosity. But back in the mid-20th century, this movie was groundbreaking, and even by modern-day standards, it goes to some shockingly dark places. The Shining. We know you've seen The Shining, or at least the thousands of pop culture references to it.
No TV and no beer make Homer something something.
Go crazy?
Don't mind if I do!
But no matter how many times you've seen it, you haven't seen it enough. Stanley Kubrick's 1980 adaptation of Stephen King's terrifying haunted hotel novel was notoriously loathed by the author, but it's still a brilliant piece of filmmaking from a master. The Shining packs in plenty of gut-punching terror, focusing on a horrific performance by Jack Nicholson as a man coming undone in the worst way. In Kubrick's hands, a slow and lingering visual crawl down an empty hallway at the Overlook Hotel is more terrifying than any jump scare. But really, see it for the hundreds of pop culture references that will suddenly make sense.
Red rum! Red rum! Stop it! Red rum! Red rum! Trap puke sip!
What have we told you about writing on the walls? Go to your room!
Thanks for watching. Click the looper icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.